What's up, guys? It is your boy Mr. Rogers, and today we are looking at a very highly anticipated deck profile that I've been working on really hard. Maze of the Master just came out, and 7th Tachyon is a pretty cool card, but I didn't release a deck profile upon release of that card because I didn't feel confident enough in my build for this deck. So I kept grinding, put in a lot of hours testing ratios, testing deck count, so many different things, and I feel like I finally found something that's pretty consistent. So let's check it out. This is a 43 card deck. So first let's go through our 1 card combo starters. We have 3 Surfacing Big Jaw, 3 Buzzsaw Shark, 3 7th Tachyon, a new card, and then 3 7th Ascension. Ascension has been out for a bit, but that's what lets you search the 7th Tachyon. You know, a lot of people say, oh, that card plays in a droll. I don't like that card. But in a deck like this, there's not as many plays you can make that are 1 card combo starters, so you need to max out on the copies of this 100% in my opinion. If this is your only opening starter, then whether you think your opponent might have droll or not, you don't really have a choice. You don't want to end on nothing, so you're still going to play it. So yeah, 12 1 card combo starters. This is a 43 card deck, so going based off the calculators, you have a 50% chance of drawing one of these cards, just one of them. And if you draw multiple, that's even better. If you draw Surfacing Big Jaw and Tachyon, or Big Jaw and Ascension, if you get ashed on the spell, then you still have Big Jaw to follow up with the rest of your combo. So it's pretty cool. I really like these ratios. I think all of these cards are really good, and I want to see at least one of them in my opening hand, so that's why I'm running 3 each. For our other shark monsters, we have 3 Abyss Shark. I wish this was a 1 card combo also, but it's not, because summoning him is contingent on controlling only water monsters and controlling at least 1. So obviously, luckily, this whole deck is water monsters. You don't have to worry about that, but you have to control minimum 1 water monster to be able to fulfill his summoning condition. So that's the only downside, going second when you're playing into when you're playing against Raziel and they have Detonator on the board. If you bring out Buzzsaw and then you activate him in hand, then they can trigger Detonator to pop this. So it makes it a bit tougher to bring him out, but still a really good card. Summon and search. Then we have 2 Hydrojet Shark. This card came out in Supreme Darkness. I honestly like it at 1, but I'm running 2 because on the off chance you draw it in your hand, normally I want to be able to summon it from the deck, detach it to activate an XYZ effect, and then use its graveyard effect to search the Aquajet spell. So in the event that I do draw 1, at least I have another one in the deck that I can summon out to still go down that combo line. Also running it at 2 just because sometimes it's nice to see it in your hand, but maxing it out at 3 is too much for me. So 2 is the perfect number because it's like I could either see it in my hand or I can just summon it from the deck. Then we have 1 Crystal Shark. I don't even use him a lot, but it's still good to have as a backup, as another body that you can bring on the board. In case your hand is not optimal. And just if the game goes into, if you're going first and it goes into turn 3, then it's still nice to have him as another, searchable / dumpable target. Then we're playing 1 XYZ Remora. This card is extremely broken. It's not once per turn, and through the armored package, you can add it back to your hand from the graveyard and then just use and abuse it. So I love this card. Super broken. And then the last water monster will be Silent Sea Nettle. Just another level 4 extender. I would say this card is the worst out of all of them, but for me it's still necessary to run just as another searchable target, just as another level 4 body to bring out on the field to go into your rank 4 plays. The graveyard effect, shuffling back, I've never really used that. It's never really come up yet, but I don't think it would, but I guess maybe it might. And yeah, that's it for the sharks. As you can see, there's others I'm not playing, like Drake Shark. You know, everyone always runs that card in their shark decks. I honestly just did not like it. I always drew it in my hand, and when you draw it in your opening turn, it's pretty much a dead card in your hand because you want him to be in your deck so that you can search him and then you can summon him. You know, when you add him to your hand, he's basically like a little Poplar, but a shark version. But also, if I already had all the other targets in my hand, you know, he'd be the only other thing to really search. And obviously, I'm not gonna not summon him. You know, I'm not gonna add him to my hand, but then not summon him. But when I did summon him, I'm just so used to going down a specific combo line that having that extra body on the board would mess with it. You know, I would have XYZ or more in my hand, but then I'd only have 2 open zones. So then, you know, I'd summon XYZ or more, but then only 1 zone left, and then he can't activate his effect to bring 2 bodies back. So yeah, I just didn't end up liking it, and I didn't think he was necessary. You know, I tried a lot of plays with him being able to count for 2 material. If you're gonna overlay into a monster that requires 3 monsters, he counts for 2. You know, that's a kind of nice effect, but just didn't come up enough for me to make me want to play him. So I ended up taking him out, and I have not looked back once personally. Like, I have not missed him once since I took him out. Now let's look at our spells. Other non-engine, 3 Forbidden Droplet. I think this card is really good right now, and I think you need to play this card, especially in a deck like this. But you know, you're going up against decks that will make YGO Detonator plus Abyss Dweller, and then obviously they're going to want to trigger Dweller in the draw phase as soon as they can. So having cards like that, you know, to just stop whatever problem monster it is just really nice. You can also activate your spells like 7th Tachyon or 7th Ascension, and then when they go to negate it, you know, with one of their Omni Negates, then you can chain Droplet, send the spell as cost, and then negate their monster. So has a lot of really cool applications. Sometimes, you know, it is a little tough because like this is the kind of deck where you need to make use of every card in your hand, and sometimes having to send that as material, not as material, send it as cost to activate Droplet is not the best thing, but usually pays off. Then we're playing 3 Pot of Desires. This is my first time playing this card in any deck, and it's still kind of scary to me because I'm just like, man, what if I banish, you know, one of the cards that I need, one of the 1-ofs, to complete my combo. You know, if you draw a handful of hand traps plus this card, you know, and you're going first, you don't have a choice. You know, you're not going to end on nothing, so you don't have a choice but to activate the card. So that's the cost you play for playing it, you know, banish the top 10 face down. Usually what I try to do is, you know, go through as much of my combo as I can, and then once I'm finished, then activate the desires, and then, you know, hopefully draw into some of my hand traps or interruptions. So overall, I think it's pretty solid. I'm also running 3 of it just because I think in this deck there's 10 cards that I'm running as 3 ofs. So there's plenty of room to be able to banish, you know, 1 or 2 of different cards, and then still have a good chance of keeping my 1-ofs. Then we have 1 called by. We don't have the room to main deck cross out. We're side decking it, so we got the 1 called by. That's what we got to do. So So we're playing one Reincarnation Unveiling Mail. This is part of the Armored / Rank Up package. Some people probably wouldn't consider this necessary to play, but I just really like it. You know, going second, it's a really good card. When we get to our extra deck, you'll see why. But going first, you know, you hope you don't draw it. Going second, it's really good. And then we're playing the Aqua Jet Surface, which is what we searched off of the Hydro Jet Shark. And this is basically a monster reborn for a level 4 or lower fish, sea serpent, or aqua. So basically you'll be able to summon anything back off of it except for Abyss Shark and Crystal Shark, because they're level 5s. Then for our hand traps, we have 3 Fualos, 3 Ash, 3 Dominus Impulse. I mean, you kind of have to play that card in this deck. I mean, you'd be kind of dumb not to, just because you can plus so good off of it, because, you know, water is not one of the attributes listed on it, or it says you can't activate monster effects that have these attributes for the rest of the turn. So it doesn't list water, so it does not interfere with your deck at all. And then we have 3 Infinite Impermanence. So these cards, counting the droplets, that's 15 cards total that are hand trap / board breakers. So it's an okay number. It'd be cool if it was a little more, you know. I was testing in another version, you know, running like 3 extra cards, like 3 Valor or 3 Droll or something like that, but you just don't have the space, unfortunately. But I mean, the same thing applies with our 1-card combo starters. You know, you have 15 interruption cards in a 43-card deck. You're gonna have like a 60% chance of drawing just one of them, and then, you know, there's multiple that you can draw. So it's pretty good. Then we're running the full armored XYZ. This goes hand in hand with the Reincarnation Unveiling Mail. These are the 2 cards that you'll search off of the Armored Fortress XYZ. Really good card, lets you rank up. Not rank up, like it doesn't go up 1 level directly, you know, that's not the specified text in it, but it lets you go into another XYZ monster as long as you are able to, you know, meet the requirements of what the XYZ monster says. So, really cool card. A lot of really good interruption during your opponent's turn. And then 1 Virtue Stream. This is searchable off of Lay Virtue, and pretty good card. Target 1 fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control, and 2 cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. The only catch-22 with this is your opponent, you know, needs to control 2 cards on the field for you to activate that. So they only have 1 card on the field. You can't do anything yet, but you just have to wait for the proper timing, and then you can activate it. Generally, like when I first started playing this deck, I was making double Totally Awesome, but then I would just get Dark Ruler, and then, you know, that would be 2 really good negates shut down. So what I learned more was it's probably safer to bring out 1 Toad and then 1 Lay Virtue, because then you were able to add this card and set it, and that way, even if you get Dark Rulered, you have another form of interruption through this card. Now let's go through the extra deck. We have 2 Bahamut Shark, and then our Bahamut Shark targets 1 Lay Virtue Dragon, and then 2 Toad. You are able to play Shark and Toad at 3. You know, there are combo lines where you can bring out 3 Toads, but kind of going back to what I was just saying, if you get Dark Ruler, you know, or Droplet, that'll just shut down your whole board. So it's nice to have different lines of play. Lay Virtue adds the trap Virtue Stream that we just looked at. Toad is Toad, it's an Omni Negate, and then when it gets sent to the graveyard, it's going to trigger to add your shark monsters back to your hand for follow-up play. Lay Virtue also has another really good effect. Like say that Buzzsaw, well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me bring out the other extract monsters first. We have our armor package, XYZ Armor Fortress, full armored Utopic Ray Lancer, and full armored Dark Knight Lancer. So the way the combo goes is you'll make Toad, you'll make Bahamut Shark, summon out Toad, and then now that you have an Omni Negate on the field, then you're free to go through the rest of your combo pretty much uninterrupted. Armor Fortress says that you can also summon him by using one rank 3 or rank 4 monster. So it's pretty cool because you'll have Bahamut Shark with the 2 material that you use to make it. You'll detach 1 to bring out Toad, and then you'll overlay Armor Fortress, and then Armor Fortress will let you detach, up to 2 cards, Bahamut Shark, plus the other original monster that was used as material. And then that's how you'll search these 2 cards, the Reincarnation and Full Armored XYZ. Full Armored Dark Knight Lancer, you can summon during your opponent's turn through Full Armored XYZ, because his condition for summoning is 3 level 7 monsters, or once per turn, XYZ summon Dark Knight Lancer by using 1 rank 5 or 6 XYZ monster you control. So XYZ Fortress is a rank 5. So you would activate this, overlay Dark Knight Lancer onto him, and then once this goes to the graveyard, then you can banish it. But remember, it's a trap card, so it's a quick effect. So you can easily do that during your opponent's turn before it goes to an open game state. So let's just say your opponent normal summons a monster. I'll use this fancy Anubis that I have. Let's just say he normal summons. You have Armor Fortress plus the Full Armored XYZ set. If they're not going to do anything immediately on summon, if they have like an ignition effect that they have to activate in the next open game state, then you will sack them for sure by activating this, overlaying, this goes to the graveyard, and then before it becomes an open game state, you go banish, target one of the XYZ monsters in my graveyard, like a Bahamut Shark, equip it to Dark Knight Lancer, and then Dark Knight Lancer triggers to non-target attach as material. So it is amazing, that effect. So good. And then you have the Utopic Ray Lancer. He's just kind of another follow-up kind of play. You can summon him by discarding 1 spell trap and using 1 rank 4 or lower XYZ monster you control. So again, you would go like Bahamut Shark into him. At the start of the battle phase, you can negate the effects of all attack position monsters your opponent currently controls. And then when this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can detach 1 material from this card. It can make a second attack in a row. So generally, the card that you would want to discard as the spell would be Reincarnation, because when this goes to the graveyard during the end phase, it will allow you to target an XYZ monster you control and then equip it to it back onto the field. So you'd rather be able to discard this than something else like a Droplet or Tachyon or something, because this is, easy fodder for discarding. You'll just be able to equip it back. But yeah, obviously he's not as good as the Armor Fortress or the Dark Knight Lancer, but if the game goes longer, we have to have another way to bring something out to be able to destroy our opponent. Now for our miscellaneous water monsters, we have 1 Abyss Dweller, Number 4, Stealth Kraken. This is the card that once you summon, you will generally always use XYZ Remora to detach the material from this to summon, because this doesn't require material or detaching to activate its effect. Once it hits the field, everything on the field becomes water, and then during the main phase quick effect, you can destroy one water monster on the field and burn for half of its current attack. And it's also non-targeting, which is really, really nice. Then we have one Valiant Shark Lancer. This one just requires 2 level 5 monsters. Target one monster your opponent controls, detach one material from XYZ you control, and if you do, destroy the monster. So you can essentially detach from anything, it doesn't have to be him. And then that effect is a quick effect if you control another water XYZ monster. I don't go out of my way to summon him out every time. He's more of a backup, but depending on your hand, you know, there's times where I will just have to bring him out because I can't go through my regular combo line. And then if another water monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while you control this monster, take one spell from your deck and place it on top of your deck. So that could definitely be pretty cool. Any spell card, Desires, Droplet, Ascension, Tachyon, the sky is the limit. Then we have number 32, Shark Drake, and then C32, Shark Drake Revice. Shark Drake, to be honest, I don't really care about his effect. I just use 3 monsters to overlay into him, and then Shark Drake Live Ice overlays over him by discarding a spell. Again, we want to try and use this one because this will equip that during the end phase. But yeah, and then Shark Drake Live Ice is detach one material and then target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effect, and if you do, its attack and defense becomes 0. That's pretty dope against decks like Blue Eyes, other stuff like that, where they can just run you over with high attack power. Then we're playing one Zeus, and I wish I had room for Zeus and Typhon, but after a lot of testing, I just think Zeus is a lot better for the one spot that there is. I mean, you have this with 3 or 4 material on it, you do battle, afterwards you overlay into Zeus. You know, you're gonna have 2 effects that you can get out of Zeus, so it's pretty good. You just have to be careful about your combo because some of the stuff, you know, will lock you into water only. I believe it's Abyss Shark. Yeah, for the rest of his turn, you cannot special summon monsters except water. And then the other one is the Silent Sea Nettle. You cannot special summon monsters except water monsters. Turn you activate this effect. So yeah, you just gotta be a little mindful of that, but still really good. And then lastly, we have our one Tachyon target, number 101, Silent Honor Arc. I guess if it was the only monster left, I would summon it if I had no choice, but the effect is kind of bad, in my opinion. Detach 2 material, target 1 special summon monster your opponent controls, face up attack position, so it has to be attack position, can't be defense, and it has to be special summon, so yeah, I think the card itself is bad. I just use it as the Tachyon target, but maybe there's a duel somewhere out there where he'll be the only guy left for me to summon, and then that will be the card that I need to clinch it. Lastly, side deck. We have 3 Lancia, Malice, 3 Droll, Raziel, Mitsurugi, Fiendsmith, 3 Perulia, in case I'm playing against a deck that pluses more off of that versus Fualos, 3 Crossout, wish I could main it, but have to side it, there's just not enough room. and we don't cover every single target like Veiler, Ghost Ogre, but we pretty much cover the main ones, and I feel like the ones that people are playing the most. Then 2 Lightning Storm, and then a D-Barrier, Dimensional Barrier. Dimensional Barrier, I obviously have to play in my side with Cross Out, because if that gets activated against me, there goes my whole entire turn. And then I had 2 spots left. I was like, I didn't want to play Cosmic because, it's a quick play, it's really nice, but going into the Blue Eyes matchup, like, I would rather destroy True Light instead of banishing it, because then True Light will destroy all of the opponent's monsters. So that's why I chose Lightning Storm. I'm not playing, Nibiru, so I don't have to worry about controlling a face-up card. Like if my opponent's going first and I use Nibiru, I have Nibiru on the field, and then I go into my turn, it turns off Lightning Storm. I don't have to worry about that because I'm not playing Nibiru. And that's another card I wish I could play, but I can't, just because of all the conditions on this deck. Like, if you control only water monsters, 1 minimum, playing Nibiru will mess with that. So yeah, and then now I just want to go through 2 quick combo lines with you guys. Obviously, this is just a test hand. Your opponent is probably going to have interruptions, but we're just going to show you the ceiling of what this deck can do. So, you start out with 7th Tachyon, reveal your number 101, and you will add Buzzsaw. Put this at the top of your deck. Goes to the graveyard. Now, since you activated the spell, you can activate Big Jaw to summon. Big Jaw will activate on the field to search, and we will add our Abyss Shark. Then we will normal summon Buzzsaw, use its effect, target itself, summon out our Hydrojet Shark. This is 3 summons. Overlay Big Jaw and Hydrojet into Bahamut. It's 4 summons. Use Bahamut to detach Hydrojet and summon out our Toad. And boom, that's the 5th summon right there. So if you're worried about Nibiru, don't be. Because now we have protection against it. And then now we have protection against our follow-up play. We're then going to banish the Hydrojet Shark to add our spell, the Aquajet Surface. That's our Monster Reborn. And then we're going to overlay into XYZ Armor Fortress. Now we're going to detach 2 from this to search our 2 cards. Reincarnation and where'd you go? Oh, it's right here. I left it in the banish pile. Reincarnation and full armored XYZ. Now we can activate Abyss Shark in hand to summon and then add. Let's make a little room here. Sorry, it's a little cramped. Summon Abyss Shark and add our XYZ Remora. Overlay both of these. Now this, if it's used for a number monster, it can be used as a 3 or a 4 also. So you have 5 for anything, and then 3 or 4 for a number monster. So we'll overlay into Stealth Kraken. Then we'll summon XYZ Remora by sending these 2 material. And then now XYZ Remora triggers to target the Buzzsaw and surfacing to reborn them. their effects will be negated, but we already used them. Be careful, by the way, because there's a lot of times where I would play online, and when I summoned him, all I had was like Big Jaw and an Abyss Shark. I'd be like, what the heck, why isn't his effect triggering to summon him back? But it has to summon back 2 level 4s. So here there are now 2 lines that you can go through. I'll show you the first one. You can overlay into Abyss Dweller. Now normally what you would think is like, oh, let me use Aqua Jet now to reborn another level 4 to make something else. But there's no more targets in the graveyard. So what I do is I just use Abyss Dweller, detach 1. It does kind of suck, you know, having to use 1 material, but still a really good board. So now we have another level 4 target in the graveyard. You can activate Aqua Jet, bring the surfacing deck, overlay for another Bahamut Shark. These effects are not once per turn, and Toad is not once per turn either. And then now here is where you have 2 separate pathways again. You can detach off of Bahamut to bring out another Toad. Like I was talking about earlier, if you get Dark Ruler, then you'll get kind of shut down. So I usually choose to bring out Virtue Dragon, and Virtue Dragon will add the Virtue Dragon. So now even if you get Dark Ruler or Dropleted, you have another form of interruption. So what you'll end on is an Omni Gate, a non-target pop, which also turns everything on the field into water. Bye-bye Fiendsmith, no linking off light Fiend monsters into a link monster that requires no light Fiends because now they're water. And then you have Dweller, which shuts off the graveyard. These 2 cards aren't going to do anything during your opponent's turn, but at least you have something you can pop to pop 2 cards on the field your opponent controls without having to worry about getting rid of one of these important guys. And then you have your rank up XYZ, and then this was sent to the graveyard, you know, maybe during your combo, or maybe you still have it in your hand. You just equip it to, you know, your most important monster, which is probably Toad, because while it's equipped, it says it can't be destroyed by battle. So your opponent can't just summon something out, go straight into battle, attack over your Toad, and then go into main phase 2. You know, that protects your Toad from just being destroyed by battle. So I usually like equipping it to Toad. Obviously, if you're playing against a deck like Malice, you don't really care about bringing out Dweller because it doesn't really interact. So let's backtrack to where we had these 3 on the field. We will overlay the 3 of them into our Drake Shark, and then Drake Shark will overlay into Levice by also discarding the spell. So you won't have the trap, but you will have the Armored XYZ. This will come back during the end phase to equip to the Toad. So now your board becomes a Omni Negate, the rank up for this, which when this goes to the graveyard, you'll banish, equip the Bahamut to the Dark Knight Lancer, and then the Dark Knight Lancer will steal and equip to itself, which will really hurt your opponent, trust me. And then you have your non-target pop and burn, which turns everything into water. And then you have the Levice, which is detach and then negate. So still a pretty good board. Plus you have, you know, hand traps. You have Dominus Impulse, like a set Dominus Impulse will really hurt your opponent, especially if you can plus off of it by having another trap in the graveyard. You know, not only negate the effect that summons, but also destroy the card. So yeah, this is the deck, guys. I put a lot of time into this. I hope you guys appreciate what I was able to do with this profile. I've been having a ton of fun playing it. You know, I kind of go through phases where I like to play something like really meta. I was playing YGO Mitsurugi for a while, and then once I saw a couple months ago that this, you know, inherent support was announced for sharks, I was like, man, I think I gotta get on this deck. Like, I gotta play a rogue deck again, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. So I hope you guys really enjoyed the deck profile. Like, subscribe, share with your friends. All the shark fans that are out there, keep at it, keep grinding, keep testing. I really enjoy this deck, and I think it definitely has potential to top at some events, especially with the kind of board you're putting up. It can play through a pretty decent amount of interruptions, so yeah. Alright, I'm gonna bounce. Talk to you guys later.